Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got full rockin' my piano out there.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Oh, this hard goddamn work being this good.
One more again, see what I take on your front set, I swear.
You ain't my daddy, are you?
There's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
What time is it? Game time.
Okay, welcome again to the Don't Be Blasé podcast. We are coming to you live from the House of Pain, otherwise known as Snap Fitness in the Adelaide CBD. I'm your host, Pete Caruana, joined as always by my man, Steve Burrows.
Hey, how you going? Pumped. I'm pumped today.
Yeah?
I've got a lot of energy. I'm hoping it's going to reflect in our podcast today, but I'm pumped.
That's good, man. I'm glad you're bringing energy today.
Yeah.
That'll be a first.
I don't know why.
Oh, no, that's the first time for everything. Let me just get to the sponsor.
Okay.
Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Larry and Lad. Go see the boys in Regent Arcade, get yourself an awesome coffee, and listen to some pretty sweet tunes. But for now, on with the show. Now, Steve.
Yes.
You've got a lot of energy.
I do.
You're bringing energy.
I'm psyched.
Which is good, because usually my back hurts from carrying the show. But I'm gonna hand it over to you early, Steve.
Yeah.
You give me what you got.
I'll just let you know and let the listeners know.
Let it fly, mate. Just send it.
Yeah, I'm playing in another countless A-grade Grand Final tonight, basketball.
Are you?
The mighty SEMO franchise.
SEMO All-Stars, although it's just a franchise now. It's cut the All-Stars, it's just SEMO.
It's still All-Stars.
Yep.
It's still All-Stars, but
just as a Jersey fiend that I am,
Yep.
what colours are we rocking these days?
We've run with you probably wouldn't like this, but we've gone for the new OKC. The blue and the little bit of orange in there. Yeah. It looks sick, though. My boy Brett does a good job.
We'll have to get a photo of it and chuck it up on the page. Because the SEMO All-Stars, because one of the guys in the team works in a place that makes jerseys.
Yeah.
So that we've always been I was briefly on the squad.
Yeah.
Back maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago now, yeah.
But, we always had the sweetest and the most original jerseys.
Yeah.
In rec league basketball, everyone's kind of wearing just, their own replica jerseys, that sort of stuff. But we had our own.
We did.
And the ones I wore were hugely orange.
That orange one was
Not
sick.
a lot of orange you see in these days, but they were good jerseys. I like them.
Yeah, we start the trends,
Yep.
and then even we did a Boston one,
Yeah.
similar one to Boston, and then all of a sudden there was like 3 or 4 other teams that start with green. I was like, get the fuck off our nuts, man.
That's right. Even make a little compilation photo.
Yeah,
And
okay.
put,
I could do
SEMO
that.
through the years.
Yeah, I could do that, yeah.
And we can see you go from skinny to fat, back to skinny. Because Steve has one of those metabolisms that if you put in half amount of effort that I do, he would look twice as good. But Steve's lazy, so his weight fluctuates a fair bit. But, other than that...
I was excited about today, but now I'm like,
I'm just
self-esteem is destroyed.
just chopped your legs out. But, it kind of leads into our topic. Because Steve's brought a question to me.
Yeah.
And discussing sort of body shapes and body types and just sort of men in general. Steve's asked the question, what is a real man in 2018? So I'll let you take the floor, Steve. Like, what led you to this discussion?
Well, the first thing is, I'd like to say, I'm not sure if this is even politically correct. Are we allowed to say what's a real man in these days?
I don't
want to upset anyone,
like I said, the name of the show is Don't Be Blasé. Facts don't matter.
Yeah.
And we've said stuff that would get us in way more trouble than, someone being, I identify as a man and this is, I don't think we'd have to worry about that.
Okay.
Of our 18 listeners, I don't think anyone really cares.
All right.
But go with it, Steve.
Okay, so
let it fly.
The only reason I say it is because I like watching the old wrestling. I love watching the 80s and 90s stuff. I think that's the heyday, and I'm not yet prepared to go into the 21st century yet with wrestling. So I like watching the old stuff. And there was this old fella, he wasn't old at the time, but he was a man's man. His name was T.A. Magnum.
Magnum TA.
Magnum TA, yeah. And this guy was like, the character he portrayed was like, he would have been maybe 28, 30, real big muscles.
Yeah.
I think he had a bit of hair.
He had the chest
stubble.
hair, yeah. No, yeah.
It wasn't crazy, but it was nice. It was fullish, but not overgrown. And he also had a real thick moustache.
Yeah.
okay? And he would jump on the motorbike, and the girl would jump on the back, and, you know, like, he was stealing hearts, so all the dudes wanted to be him, you know, the old cliche chicks, you know, wanted to be with him. And I just looked at him, I was like, dudes don't look like that these days.
No.
Whether it be the wrestling or cricket. Remember cricket, right?
Yes,
No,
yes.
Okay, so let's go back to the 80s in cricket, which was when I was growing up. We had, like, even Alan Border had a moustache, Booney had a moustache,
Dennis
Merv had
Lilly.
Lily, Merv Hughes had a moustache, and these guys were big burly men. Both of them had a moustache, you know, Lamb, all of them, Gooch in England. They all had the, you know, they just ooze this manliness of man, and I look at
I don't know how many times you
There's
can
a
fit
lot of man.
some sort of offset of the word man into one sentence. But I think
Yeah.
I think you just broke the record there, Steve. But that's good. Continue.
What I'm saying is that, you know, and then what prompted me is I was watching the 2020, the Big Bash, and there was this, you know, kid who probably been 23, 24, and he had this ridiculous looking moustache.
Yep.
It wasn't a full, you know, big fuck you moustache. It was this, like, I had some curls, and he looked like an idiot.
Is this playing for the Adelaide Strikers?
I don't know.
The Australian champion Adelaide Strikers?
No, yeah, I know. Congratulations for the Strikers. That was awesome. But no, it wasn't him. It was someone else, and it was like from one of the other teams. Anyway, I saw it. I was like, damn, like, what do the dudes from yesteryear,
Yeah.
you know, who are still rocking their badass moustaches, look at this fella and go, what the fuck are you, you know? That's all my question was, you know, like, so I just wanted to ask you, because you're, you know, a little bit younger than me, but, you know, you're still a bit hip and stuff like that. A bit trendy.
I know what the kids are doing these days.
Yeah, so I just
with
want to
their
know what
hippity
you
hop
thought.
music and their rock and roll. Well, no, it's one of those things. It's the culture shifts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it went from, you know, everyone was, 60s was the short back and sides, you know, no one had, you know, shaved those sideburns. And then it turned into that sort of hippie phase with the guys with the long hair, and they started the mustaches and stuff, like facial hair, beards. And then it seemed to go in the 80s, like, you know, my dad, everyone's dad seemed to have a mustache.
Yeah.
You know, and like, it was just, that's what you did when you were a man. You're a man, you had a mustache, you had, you know, in the 80s you had a perm. Don't know how that was manly, but, you know, that was just what happened. Then we went through the 90s, grunge look took over. You know, there was the hip-hop influence, so a lot of shaved heads and then a lot of long hair. And, you know, not a lot of facial hair. But then it took that sort of metrosexual early 2000s look, which, you know, victim of a couple of times. You know, don't go back through any of my old Facebook photos. You might see some stuff like my little goatee rocked at some stage.
Yeah, I remember that.
Not my best look. But, you know, it just goes in waves. And now it seems like nowadays, it's that whole sort of mix of everything. It's like you're not really tied into a style at the moment. You can go that sort of Renaissance style, like, you know, back to one of those, like, almost like that you say with that cricketer. It's like a 1920s, you know, old timey, you know, like here, listen to the radio. See, like, he's got one of those sort of twisty mustaches, you know. And like, but people seem to have whatever style they want these days. You know, and it's not that this is a man and that's what a man looks like and that's the thing. It seems to be now. It's more about what your character is, more so than what you present.
Okay.
I mean, there's still always going to be, I don't want to say market, but there's always going to be a thing where you look at a bloke that's like, you know, big, broad, burly, and everyone goes, yep, that's a bloke over there.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
that's the man, yeah.
Yeah, but then there's all different shapes and sizes these days. Everyone's just sort of learning to accept each other for however they present themselves.
Sure.
Unless they're like ethnic or something, and then most people are just racist these days and just hate everyone. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just, there's no real cut and dry definition like you used to be, you know?
Do you think like so eight-year-old little Billy or something would be watching the 2020 and see that fella with a moustache go, man, that's who I want to be? Like, because I remember when I was a kid, you know, you look at those big, you know, Hulk Hogan, you know, like, I was
we grew up in an era of super, like, cartoon characters, you know? Like, so that's why, I mean, to me in this stage, like, we've had this discussion many times about the wrestling. The wrestlers don't look like wrestlers to me these days because they're the same size as I am.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, not only did they seem huge because we were, you know, young, but, you know, they were on all sorts of steroids and they were just enormous humans. You know, like muscles coming out of their ears. You know, you look at some of those old videos of, I always used to love Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog.
Oh, yeah.
And he had the braids as well, like English
halfway
dude, braids, and he just had like muscles on muscle. He actually looked like he was going to explode at some stage. But you didn't know that was like doing horrible damage to his body. You just thought, this guy is enormous and I want to be that when I grow up. Not knowing that will take years and years off your life. But that's the thing. Like, so it's almost like today you get a more realistic view of, like you look at someone like that, you're like, okay, well, I don't like that mustache, or do like that mustache, or he's just a young lad being a dumb young lad. Because you got to remember, like, you can pull off a lot of sort of questionable looks in your 20s.
Yeah.
And like, if you're a young lad and you want to have, like, I was at a music festival on Friday. It was like sort of a younger music crowd, that sort of thing. But you saw all sorts there. You see kids with long hair. You see kids with, like I said, the shitty mustache, shirt off, tattoos, and that sort of stuff. You're just kind of like, yeah, you can pretty much do whatever you like. When you're in your 20s, you can kind of rock whatever look you feel like. Early 20s especially, because it's just like, they're just kids. You know what I mean? Whereas when you get older, you sort of start to sort of refine your style. That's when you start to pigeonhole yourself.
Right.
Like, this is how I look. This is what I do. This is the kind of person I am. So I think, back then, like, you're talking about these guys from the 80s looking that way, that you kind of got pigeonholed very early.
Right.
But now there's a bit more room for self-expression than what they used to be.
Is there such a thing as a man's man these days? Is there a man's man? Like,
Oh,
remember
for
in the
sure.
old days, the hard yakka ads,
Yeah.
the VB, everyone's sweating,
Well, they
everyone's
still
working hard.
market that. Like, you still see, there's still a market for that. You see VB ads.
Yeah.
Still, and the guy's working outdoors and getting a sweat on,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
sweat burning your eyes, and you got grass all over you. You're cutting the lawn, and you're
Yeah.
sawing wood, and those sorts of ads. And there's always going to be a market for that, and there's always going to be appeal for that.
And that's what you actually said, a word there that jogged my memory. That's also where it came from, is mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
I was always wondering, like, in the old days, like the men would like get up first thing in the morning on the weekend and mow the lawn, and they would be so proud of their lawn.
Yeah.
And does that happen still?
I think that.
So I'm still a lawnmower. I
No,
love my lawn.
you know that
I
becomes,
love my lawn.
Yeah. That's a dad thing. That's not
Is it a dad thing?
It's a dad thing. It's not even like an age thing. It's not age specific. It's not just it's a dad. It's
I was
purely-
doing this before I had kids, man.
No, but you've been an old man before your time, Steve. You've been very old for a young age. But one of my good friends, once he sort of moved into his own house,
Yeah.
and he started a family, then all of a sudden, like, he knew about lawn. And we were walking, I remember one time we were walking to the soccer, and soccer stadium is in the middle of a bit of an industrial area. And this is like a running joke that we have, and Shags will love this, is that one time we were walking to the stadium, and then all of a sudden he just stops and looks at the sort of, next to the road, those little patches of grass, and he's just like, this grass is incredible. Like, you don't see this in an industrial area, and now let's just become a running joke with us. Like, anytime you see some nice grass, like, I can't believe, look at this grass. It's an industrial area. Like, it's just something about becoming a homeowner and owning some land, and then you own that grass, and you want it to be good grass. Like, even one of the young lads that does my boot camp, and we were doing a session out in the park the other day. It was a new park that we hadn't trained in before, and he's an expecting father.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're doing push-ups, and he goes, hey, this grass is Santa Ana. It's like, no one knows.
Oh, no, I know exactly what Santa Ana is.
Exactly. But the thing is, you don't know. I don't know that, and I'm older than this guy, because I don't have kids that I know of. So, it's one of those things. Once you become a dad, or you own a house or own property, that's when that kicks in.
I just laid 160 square of Santa Ana on
you?
Saturday.
Yeah, how's it looking, mate?
Well, it's looking a bit dry. It's a fucking heat wave at the moment. But I laid about. This is one of the funny things is that mowing the lawn. I put on a pedestal as still quite a manly thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's probably one of the few manly things.
Yeah,
to do.
the wife won't come out and do it. I'm still doing it. But this is my conundrum is that I feel very manly doing it.
Yep.
But I went and because I'm not a greenie by any stretch of imagination.
No.
But if there's ways to help out the planet, it's
give it a crack.
Within my means. So I went out and bought myself an electric lawnmower.
Yeah.
So this is my problem: is I feel very manly mowing the lawn, but I'll only do it when I know that other fellas on the street have gone to work because I don't want them to see me with my electric mower and go, "What the fuck is it?" Because the dudes around my area, they all kind of moved out because I live out a bit more in the country, I guess, and they're all very big, burly,
tradies,
and their lawns are pristine.
Immaculate. Yeah.
So they see, and the thing is, like, I feel like they'd be judging me if they saw me with my little, my little fucking electric mower because I really want to feel manly doing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll wait till they go to work and I'll sneak out there, do a quick 15-minute job and get the fuck back inside.
Well, there is something really quite sort of manly about pulling the chain on a lawnmower.
There's
you know?
not one of those electric ones.
Oh,
You press a
no.
button, pull a handle, and away she
Oh,
goes. Starts
no.
every time. Starts every time. There's no...
But that's the thing. I mean, there is some argument to that because I mean, it does happen. You know, and it has sort of like what you consider traditional sort of male job or things that every bloke should know. They just don't know. Like, there's just general things like every person in general should know how to do this, but it's just one of those things. It's always considered, you know, guys are supposed to take the lead in traditional society.
Yeah.
You know, and whether it's right or wrong, we're not going to discuss that, but just saying, like, things like driving a manual car. So many guys don't know. Like, one of my best friends, who shall remain nameless, Andy, when he first met his new girlfriend, he was moving stuff from his old house into a new house, so he had to borrow a ute from her family. Her family owned a company and they had an old company ute. And to save face in front of her, he went, "Oh, can you drive the ute? Because, I've got to get in the car with this and I haven't driven manual in like forever." I'm like, "Mate, you never learned how to drive a manual."
No.
He just never learned how to drive a manual, so he just couldn't do it. I'm like, that's pretty embarrassing. You know? Like, as much as you try to say it's 2018, it's progressive, there's no male job, there's no female job. Dude, you can't drive a manual. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same way there's like, you know, I said mowing lawns, you don't do that. And even like one day, like I had a flat tire on my car. And I'm in the car park changing my tyre, and some old bloke came up and he goes, "Do you need a hand there, mate?" I'm like, No, I've got this. It's only a tyre. And he goes, pat me on the shoulder. He goes, "Thank God." He goes, "The amount of bloody kids these days that don't know how to do it." I'm like, I actually know guys who have called the RAA, like roadside services, to change a fucking tyre.
Do they hide behind the tree when they rock up? The missus, she just went to the server.
Yeah. So, and I just, I've hurt my back, so I couldn't. Like, no, it's just not. It's not commonplace these days.
Yeah, well, that's what, it's funny. We talk about this because the wife, she always says, "Oh, that's the man's job. You know, go put out rubbish. That's the man's job.
Yeah.
The man's job is to do the garden and stuff like that." She doesn't seem to find it a problem when she wants me to do vacuuming.
Yeah,
and God forbid if I say that's a woman's job. Oh my goodness,
she's raised two beautiful children for you, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, she's
Imagine
done all
that.
her women's jobs.
Imagine that. Imagine I said that. Fuck yeah, I'm not doing no vacuuming. That's a woman's job. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's no women's jobs.
There
women's
isn't.
jobs is to do what they want to do, and they will do it well. Don't expect, as what I've been told from my life, don't expect anything, and you'll get things done. If you ask for something to be done, it's not happening. They could even enjoy doing it. If you ask them to do it or expect them to do it, they're not going to do it. That's just a little bit of information I can put out there.
Well, and there's one more thing before we move on that I look at, and I'll go back to the old wrestling things. There's guys like Rick Rude,
Yes.
and Ric Flair,
Yes.
You know, and now
Just guys named Rick.
No, that's right. They just would have, the chicks wanted to, like they wanted these guys, they. For whatever reason, they have their charm or their sort of body or whatever it is. Does that still exist? Is the women? Would they? If Ric Flair existed today, old 1980s style with a big blonde hair, and Rick Rude with a big moustache, and it was a good moustache, and if they were in today's world, would they be the?
Well, it's just like
stealing?
it's just it's a style thing.
Yeah.
And like by the same token, in the same sort of era, there was guys like the guys from Kiss.
Yes.
Like someone like Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
Who would pull all the birds.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen Kiss perform live?
No, I haven't.
And he's the one with the big star in his eyes,
yes.
and the red
Oh,
lipstick, and they got the painted face and the long hair, and he struts and dances on stage and he starts like kissing himself and hugging himself, or someone like Prince.
Yeah.
And like I tried to explain to an old girlfriend once because we were watching the film clip for Kiss, and he's got a girl's top on, tights and like high heels.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "Well, let me tell you something. At one stage, he was the sexiest man in the world."
Yeah.
And so there's always been room for both. It's the same era.
Yeah.
There were still guys that maybe the manly man looked at and went, "Phew, what kind of bloke is that? That's not a real bloke." But he still was crushing.
Okay.
There's always going to be a market for it. I mean, there's always part of our ingrained DNA is going to be that caveman mentality of you want the biggest, the tallest, the strongest.
For sure.
But you don't have to look like an alpha male to be the alpha male.
Okay.
And that's the alpha male. It's always the alpha male thing that's the attractive thing.
Okay.
And it's that whole presence of, and this is like happens today, and it's always something that I always remember to kind of learn when I was a kid. If you have to try to be the alpha male, you're not. So it's just one of those things. Some people are just natural alphas, and they will attract, friends. They will attract, the opposite sex. Or whatever sex they are after. It's just a personality thing more so than a specific look or it's just charisma's charisma. It's hard to pick.
Charisma.
Just to take it back to any sort of entertaining, and there's
Yeah.
people that you look at, and you're just like, I don't get it, but I can't take my eyes off this person. And it's just, you can have the same people tell the same jokes, but Eddie Murphy does it so much funnier than the writer that probably wrote it for him.
Yeah, sure.
And that's just, it's a charisma thing, it's an alpha male thing, it's just something chemically in us that just makes us be appealed to something like that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. No, you put that together well.
Thank you.
Nice. I think that answers my question.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't
You
know.
happy?
What was the question again? No, I'm pretty sure.
I think the answer to it is you need to get a new lawnmower, even though you just
I
bought it.
I know, dude. I got 160 of it behind, and the thing is with the little electric mowers, they got the little the lawn catcher.
Yeah.
I don't know what the term
You have
is.
to change your
Fucking-
lawnmower's tampon. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
Many times. Yeah. And that's so. Anyway, I've got 160 in the back.
Yep.
I'm trying to keep the thing wet.
Yep.
Under these conditions is
Yep.
hard work, but yeah.
That's all right.
Perfect Santa Ana though. I love it, man.
I think we also need a photo of the Santa Ana. Check that.
Yeah, I'll wait till I'll put some green up on that, and I'll take a photo in a couple of weeks.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to. Hopefully, you guys will check in. I think now weekly will become a weekly segment, the Grass Report with Steve Burrows. But speaking of grass and sports and all that sort of good stuff, obviously yesterday. The reason why we're late today is the Super Bowl. See, I tend to take the day off work when the Super Bowl's on. I've been an NFL fan since '95, and I haven't missed one since. So I don't go to work. Yeah, I don't go to work when the Super Bowl's on. I always take that Monday off, sit home, watch the game. Now it's confusing to a lot of Australians, but it is a great sport and it's a great event. Now this is where I'm going to go with this. It is such a sort of cultural phenomenon. It's one of the biggest sporting events in the world that happens every year. Now, what does our beloved AFL Grand Final need to do to reach the sort of... Obviously, we're not going to get the sort of performers before and after the game that they get in the States because we just don't have that sort of talent. But what do you think we need in order to boost the profile of the Australian Grand Final?
I don't know. The thing is that look, I've never been right into the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I love NFL, the American football. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a real big spectacle and it's exciting, but I never find myself watching it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Even the Super Bowl, I was home yesterday.
Yeah.
Would you believe I was out in the lawn? I forgot all about it. And then I was only on I saw on the highlights that it was a huge finish and it was very exciting. I was like, oh man, again, that's a 50-second Super Bowl I've missed or whatever it was. But yeah, look, there's the AFL Grand Final. I don't know, they're two different events. I don't know. I think the football, the NFL, it seems like everyone watches it, and you have to be there. You want to be seen to be there. You want to be seen tweeting about it. Whereas the AFL Grand Final, I don't know. We just get a barbecue at my mate's house. We jump in the pool and with the family. I don't know. To me, it's totally different.
Well, the thing is, it's recently become like a much bigger thing in Australia. American sports in general.
Yeah,
the NBA's exploded again here. I mean, we discussed the NBA once or twice on this show. Baseball's starting to pick up again. And it's one of those things that when sports are doing well over in the States, they tend to do well here too. It's just, it's just the nature of the culture. But yeah, I think with the AFL Grand Final, it's because it's our sport and it's only our sport, it's one of the things that sort of holds it back. But it still doesn't even transport as well into the northeastern states, like Queensland, which is a different country altogether, and New South Wales. It will still do well, but it doesn't. It's mostly like Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, probably Tassie.
Well, the NRL Grand Final gets more viewers than the AFL Grand Final.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does, man. Yeah,
No.
I've got a mate who's a big rugby guy, and he reminds us every year after the Grand Final that there's sort of let's say, 2 million people watch the AFL Grand Final, then 2.5 million watch the NRL Grand Final. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can believe that because it's on because AFL Grand Final people are just so excited to watch sport, and we know that our sport's over, that we will just about watch anything, and that's always on the Sunday, the day after.
Yeah.
We're just coming down off the sport thing. We're just I'll just watch that as well, even though it's not even a real sport. We'll just that excited to watch sport. We'll just watch another sport Grand Final because Grand Finals are always, especially if you can get a close one. And the NRL's had a couple of close ones. That's the one thing that's sort of made the Super Bowl exciting for the last 10 years. There's only been one game that's been a bit of a blowout, and the rest of them have been decided by less than a possession.
They seem like that always comes down to the last possession or a last kick or a last Hail Mary.
It's the nature of the game. I don't know, because it's so stop-start, and a lot of people get frustrated with that. But because of that, it creates a lot of excitement. It's an anticipation sport.
That's right.
Like you're always, okay, if this happens, like, because in your head you can play out every scenario. Like, well, if this happens and this can happen. If this happens and this, and so you're basically playing the game in your own head while you're watching it, and it just becomes this like sort of like thing that you get drawn into, like when you watch a TV show that sort of develops slowly. But yeah.
Oh, I love them ones.
Whereas but even like, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about a beautiful AFL game. If that is close, and because there's no breaks, you are like literally sitting there chewing your fingernails and on the edge of your seat, like just itching, and like it'll give you. I don't know if you've watched the game where it went to extra time last year in the finals, not in the grand final, but the Port and West Coast game.
Oh,
went extra time.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I was just sitting at home watching the game. I was exhausted after the game because your adrenaline is up for so long because there's no breaks in the game. I was excited for that. But the problem is with the AFL Grand Final, it seems like there hasn't been a lot of close ones recently, and that really does take away from the game.
They do, and a lot of people were saying, it's because there's that 1 week break.
Yeah.
They're saying it's the worst final series, in particular this latest one.
Yeah.
They said there's one close game, which is the Port and West Coast, which was,
and the rest of them were all blowouts.
The rest were blowouts, and they're blaming, and the AFL were like, nah, screw it, man. We like the week off.
It's not the extra week off, because the NFL has the extra week off as well.
Oh, okay.
And they still provide, because you need the time to sort of decompress and then to pump it up. You need that promotion time. You can't just sort of swing around in a week and expect these guys to be ready to perform. Because, if you have a star player that has a niggle, you need to give them time to recover.
Sure.
And I understand, because it's a very tough, physical, taxing sport. You do need that extra rest time. So I understand the week off. And, the week off didn't affect all those finals games of shithouse leading into the grand final. So I don't think the week off can be to blame.
Well, I don't know. But going back to your original question, I think about the AFL Grand Final. I think it's interesting that that's played sort of mid-arvo.
Yep.
It goes into sort of like,
2:10 start time.
2:10 start time, whereas the NFL always looks like it's under lights.
Yeah. Well, it is traditionally it's like a 7 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah.
Right, and that looks exciting to me. It's like when the WrestleMania starts at during the day. I'm like, ugh. It only gets good when it gets dark.
Yeah.
When you watch basketball, you don't want to see the crowd. You like it when the court's illuminated, and so I think atmosphere might have something to do with it, maybe.
Yeah. So you think you maybe move it to a twilight, like a 7 o'clock start time?
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
A twilight would be more like, say, maybe a 4:30 start.
Yeah.
Sort of like, so it starts in that sort of like there's a bit of sun, but it starts well into. Yeah, well under the lights, anyway.
I think that's ridiculous because I'm very traditional. I'm very traditional, and I just love that about the Australian Grand Final. And this is one other thing that everyone complains about. I love the fact that if it's a draw, they play it again.
Yeah,
and that's to me it's frustrating. I know. But it's just one of those good traditions that makes it our game. It's the same thing happens back in the hurling. In Ireland, which is even funnier because it was 2012 when I was in Greece. I was watching the hurling grand final. I've never watched a game of hurling in my life, but it was exciting. It was good to watch. Anyway, it comes down to the last swing of the bat thing, and it was a draw. I'm like, so what happens? Does it go overtime? They go, no, they replay it. I'm like, next week, like we do. And they're like, no, it replays in 3 weeks. I said, why is that? It goes, because all the players are amateur and they need to be able to take time off work. So they have a 3-week break and play it again. But I just love the traditions of the AFL Grand Final. And I think just if we had closer games, that would make it a little bit more exciting.
But do you remember, was it Collingwood and St Kilda who drew in 2010?
Yeah. And
that was really cool. And it wasn't the week later, it was just a...
absolute drubbing.
Yeah, and it was just like, what a shit way to end the season. However, had they played the 10 minutes extra time, it would have been pretty exciting.
It would have been pretty exciting, although that was possibly the most frustrating grand final of all time because...
is this the one that you put the money on again?
No.
What was that one?
That was the one before St Kilda and Geelong.
Ah, okay.
But no, that was just because St Kilda and Collingwood are two of my least favourite teams of all time. In the bottom 3 of teams, teams that I hate.
Yeah.
And they're in there. And so it's just I would just rather, I don't know, everyone got injured.
Line them up.
I really can't stand either team. So that one I just watched. Just for the betting and just for the fun of the afternoon, and it's the only time I really bet on sports is when it's the grand final. I always chuck $50 down on just random bets, and I do love that you get to Super Bowls or grand finals and stuff. You can always bet on dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like, will they show such and such a dad in the crowd? And will they show?
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
like just all those prop bets make the
Yeah.
games more exciting.
I think also the other thing with AFL Grand Final is that we always seem to have because they do a halftime show, do they?
Yeah, there's a big halftime
Which
show.
is amazing. The fact that they can build a stage and dismantle it within 15 minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas we usually do the pre-game
Yeah.
show, and we always seem to get like the washed over the hill.
Yeah.
You guys who don't have anything. Like we had Brian Adams.
Yeah.
Not hardly Australian because you're talking about tradition.
Yeah.
We got Brian Adams. We had Lionel Richie, I think, 2 years ago.
I was at the infamous Meatloaf Grand Final.
Meatloaf, for fuck's sake! I mean, it would be cool if we. I mean, I don't know who's Australian pop stars these days who might be able to do the show.
Man, I couldn't even tell you. Other than I think we've already had Shannon Knoll, but I think we could just chuck Shannon Knoll out there every
we're
year.
not asking him. He's on the Channel 10 show at the moment. But no, like Chisel or something. I don't know.
Because of the crowd.
Barnsley,
The crowd's
Barnsley.
different. Like the Super Bowl, like I said, is a international phenomenon. People that don't even really watch the NFL will watch Super Bowl because, and a lot of it, you'll get a lot of appeal just for the halftime show. But the fun fact is that the NFL doesn't pay. Like we have to, as an AFL, have to pay to get performers in to do the show.
Yeah.
Whereas with the NFL, they actually pay the NFL to be the act.
That's
because
incredible.
it's usually someone that's about to go on tour or release an album. And as soon as their show finishes, like yesterday, Justin Timberlake did the show, blah, blah, blah. And then check out his new album, Man of the Woods.
Of course, perfect.
It's part of their sponsors. That's
Yeah.
part of that. Whoever's about to do a tour, sell an album, they have to pay the NFL to get that spot because it's such a prestigious spot. Because of all the sports channels, the news channels that will cover the game, there's an equal amount of, like E! Channel and all that sort of entertainment television, and they'll just cover what happened during the halftime show. So, that's become that thing there. It's a separate market, whereas no one really covers who won.
No.
But in saying that, though, the one thing the AFL does have over the NFL is the award show. The NFL award show, when they announce who's going to win the Super Bowl and Rookie of the Year and that sort of shit, doesn't really, it's on the NFL Network, but it's not really like a big gala event. Whereas our Brownlow is that's like our night of nights, who's going to win the best player of the year. So, that's one thing that they do a little bit better than the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I do like I said, I think they're just two different things. Apples and oranges. Yeah, they are a big event and they are a grand finale, but, the NFL always seems like, everyone lines up to the red carpet to go there. They'll take their photos in front of the boards, and that's the type of thing. Whereas AFL Grand Final, it's almost like get your kids and we'll have a barbie, or bring your mates and we'll jump in the pool. I don't know. To me, it's just a totally different.
I think they just explains the difference between Australia and America. Right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But going into that, then we'll finish on this.
Yeah.
What do you think are the top three sort of Australian sporting events? Like your top three, obviously, don't have to be the best. But
Yeah.
What are your three favourites?
My three favourites. There's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
Basically, we're talking about the ones that are on Australian soil.
Yes. So I reckon we'll both, because this will be easy. We'll even just do 2 and 3 because I'm pretty sure we're both going to say AFL Grand Final number 1.
Of course, yeah. AFL Grand Final, for what it is and what it does, it brings everyone together. It's just a great day. I love the AFL Grand Final, regardless who's playing.
Yeah.
Regardless if Crows are blowing a lead against Richmond or playing a dreadful second quarter or whatever the fuck, third quarter or whatever. Tom Lynch, that's right. There's so many good ones. I went to the Formula 1 in Melbourne. That was really, really fun. That was a really good time. I love the State of Origin.
Yeah.
NRL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't follow rugby. Couldn't stand it. I don't watch club rugby. I certainly don't watch union.
Yeah.
But when it comes to State of Origin, I love watching.
So you're going to check that number 2?
We'll keep it hovering.
Or are you just doing honourable mentions?
Yeah, we're just going to go from round. I like the Australian Open.
Yeah.
The tennis. That's recent.
Yeah.
I'm not really although I said F1, I'm not motorsport, but Bathurst is always pretty cool.
That's a big deal. Like I said, I'm not a motorsport guy either, but Bathurst always seems like it's it's one of those things that you always kind of go, I'll tune in for a bit, and you always sort of seem to care who wins.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just did Winterbottom or who the fuck win it again? Win Cup.
Yep.
They seem to. They're the ones I'm throwing around at the moment.
Yeah.
What else is there? I do like the MCG cricket.
Yeah.
The
Boxing Day
tests. I really like cricket test matches these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
think it's because you're getting old, Steve.
I do. But I like day 4 and day 5. I'm really interested in day 4, day 5.
Oh, day 3,
bowlers.
day 4. That's the ones there that you do.
Sure. Yeah, okay, yeah. But when the cracks start appearing on the pitch, and then the ball starts moving, when you're a kid, you like the batting.
Yeah.
you know. But I think as I get older, I really appreciate the bowling. I really appreciate the mind games of the bowler, and that's really cool. So I'm going to throw that one around there as well. Tell me a couple of yours, and then I'll chuck in my number.
Well, I'll just go first because usually you
okay.
complain that I always sweep up.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
So number 2 will be the Australian Open for me. And
The tennis.
Yeah. So that's the only sort of live sporting event in Australia that I really want to see that I haven't been to. So like I've been to an AFL Grand Final and it was incredible. Like I've been to a lot, like I've been to basketball finals, this and that. But yeah, I've never been to the Australian Open. And that's one thing I'm really super keen to get over and see. So the Australian Open will be number 2 for me. And number 3, it's kind of tough because, like I said, you have mentioned a few big ones. Now, I'm just going to go out on record and just say, I used to play league when I was a kid.
Oh, did you?
But I fucking can't stand rugby league.
Oh, really?
It's just, once I started watching Union, friends of mine got me into, a friend of mine's from Canberra, and she's a big Union fan. So she started getting me into watching the Wallabies and stuff like that. Once you sort of start watching rugby union and then understand the game and then go back to watching rugby league, rugby league's like rugby for retards. It's just like, it's a kid's game. There's not the same skill involved. It doesn't flow the same way. You know, half the players don't get arrested as often as the NRL guys do. You know, and it just seems to be like it's a gentleman's game. Sorry, a ruffian's game played by gentlemen. And the one thing that really wins me over with Union is that only one guy is allowed to approach the umpire.
Yeah.
And he has to approach to him as sir.
Oh, really?
Otherwise, you're off. There's none of this, you know, like you watch the soccer and everyone's like up in the umpire's face or this thing. Even in basketball, you yell at the ref and that sort of stuff. That doesn't fly in rugby. And I enjoy, like you said, I'm traditionalist. I enjoy traditional sort of things to sports, and that's one thing that I really, really enjoy.
But could you watch like club level Union though? I mean,
probably not. No,
I can watch
I'm talking about Wallabies
and All Blacks or South Africa. I can do, but you know, I'll watch the netball. I'll watch the Australian women's netball team against the New
Diamonds,
Zealanders.
whatever.
That's awesome. I could not give
two
hoots
understand,
about the
because that's my number 3 is going to be, and it's hard to sort of wrap it up, but. And they always play at least once a year, but anytime the Socceroos play.
Okay.
As painful as it is, and they always just ruin your life, and it's just frustrating. As much as I love, like, honourable mention to the NBL Grand Final, actually, scrap that. Anytime the 36ers are in the final, that's all I care about. I can't really watch 2 other teams.
No.
But the Socceroos, it's just, like, especially if there's a World Cup coming up, or anytime the Asian Cup, just watching the Socceroos, it's the only team that I've sort of get national pride for.
Okay.
Because, you know, the only other strong Australian thing we have is AFL, but we don't really play that internationally. And we have the international series against Ireland, but that's just mostly a joke.
Yeah.
But, you know, none of our tennis players are really that sort of strong. So that's the only sort of national team that I really get choked up and excited to support. You know, I mean, like, I like watching the Wallabies, but if they lose, I'm like, I just said to my friend, I'm like, we're not very good, are we? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, I don't know enough, you know, to really get behind it. But the Socceroos are just that team for us.
I do like that.
So that's my spot there.
Okay, that's cool. I like that you said that because I also do like that. But more, you know, year to year, I definitely like the AFL. I definitely like State of Origin. So we're putting in number 2. I really like. It's just amazing. I love the fact that the rugby league players put their hand up to do it. Yeah. You know, when the AFL players are like, no, we don't want any State of Origin.
The AFL players make more money. You know, there's more to lose.
Well, some of the players like Thurston and stuff, they make plenty of money.
That's the top.
The guys who play State of Origin.
Yeah. But the thing is, because that's almost become bigger than the actual, like, NRL season.
Oh,
like,
shit, it is.
You couldn't tell me who won the last 3, you know. I
think it was the Cowboys.
Yeah, the last 3 premierships, you know. But you could tell me the Queensland's won the last 3 and try to whatever. And New South Wales didn't win forever because you just remember, because those 3 games are so intense, and they are intense games. Like, I'll have a passing interest in them, but like I said, I just don't really like watching rugby, so I don't watch them that much. Yeah. But I still keep an eye out for who wins and loses, you know, because that means more than who wins the grand final. Yeah.
For number 3, that's fair enough. And number 3, I like, I'm going to say the tennis as well. Even as a young kid, I remember watching Pat Cash play against Mats Wilander. Yeah. Pat Cash had just won, I think, the 87 Wimbledon. Yeah. So he was playing in the 88 Australia Open. Yeah. And
did he have a mustache?
No, he did. He had a killer headband, though.
Yeah, he did have a good headband.
Killer headband.
The checkered headband.
The checkered headband. And it was a huge, I think it went 5 sets. And Pat Cash only won 1 Grand Slam, which was at Wimbledon. Yeah. I think he might have been involved in the Davis Cup win as well. But otherwise, he never won it. And that was his chance to win a second Grand Slam. And because he kind of fell off after that. Yeah. And since then, I've always been interested in Australia Open, especially through the Stefan Edberg days, Pete Sampras, the best of all time.
Even after Roger Federer just won another one.
Okay. Yeah, I know he's played
Just
50, man.
Yeah, it's okay, just checking.
Anyway, so put that around Australian Open. So happy with that.
And we'll give an honourable mention to the Big Bash League. That's become a new exciting
so
thing.
good.
And that's sort of the one thing about, I think it's summer. And it's my favourite things. It's summer and it's sport. I mean, you turn on the TV any day of the week, December through January, there's going to be an Australian Open tennis game on, or there's going to be some big bash cricket on. And I think that's exciting for us.
I agree.
Being big sports fans and stuff like that. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I will get in behind any sort of sporting event. So the Big Bash League, just a tough out there, but we do love Big Bash League. We love the Strikers. Strikers got up this week.
Yeah.
They're new champions, reigning world champions of Big Bash League.
World champions.
Hey, if the NFL guys can call themselves world champions, we're going to call ourselves. That's going to be our show for today, guys. So don't forget to check out AustralianPodcastFestival.com.au. They've got the Australian Podcast Festival coming up in Adelaide, February 27th and 28th. You can get tickets and all your information from that. It's going to be at the Elephant. It's going to be a good afternoon. Listen to some shows. I think we're going to have a little cameo appearance.
Oh, did you get an invitation?
Oh, you didn't? Oh.
Might be in the mail still?
Yeah,
maybe?
I think they always send things through Australia Post these days and not emails. I'm sure it's coming, Steve. I'm sure they want you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So maybe you just see me, maybe you always see Steve. But do check out AustralianPodcastFestival.com.au for all your details, guys. That's going to be us. Thanks for listening. If we've missed out on any sporting events, let us know. Or if you've got information on what is a real man, please put it on the Facebook, because Steve wants to know. And is Steve's electric lawnmower really shit? But that's going to be us, guys. For Speaker One, saying goodbye. For Steve Burrows,
see you later.
We'll speak to you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.